Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
We good?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming and for sticking out to me again. So we're going to be talking about the power of touch. So what if I told you that something as simple as a hug has the potential to profoundly change your mental health, improve your emotional well-being, boost your immune system, or even help your heart health? Now imagine a world where that vital touch is missing. This is not science fiction. It's happening right now. Our world is becoming increasingly more digital and physically distanced from one another. This phenomenon leads to a condition known as skin hunger. There we go. Human beings are inherently social creatures. From the moment we are born, touch is crucial to our survival and well-being. Think about it. A newborn baby being gently cradled by its mother, that simple act of touch is more than comfort. It is a biological necessity. Studies show that infants who are deprived of this touch often fail to thrive, and they can even suffer long-term physical challenges. But here's an important fact that we all need to understand, is that this need for touch does not disappear as we get older. It just evolves, and it remains a critical part of how we connect to the world. The poet and naturalist Diane Ackerman is quoted as saying, "Touch is the first language we speak." Physical contact fosters trust, strengthens relationships, and creates a sense of security. Whether it's a comforting hand on your shoulder or a hug from a friend, these interactions are vital to our mental, emotional, and physical health. But as we become more digitally connected, we are paradoxically more disconnected than ever before. One alarming statistic is that individuals operating under chronic touch starvation are 60% more likely to suffer from anxiety disorders, depression, and high levels of stress, along with the physical issues that go with that. But what is skin hunger? Well, the need for touch is a fundamental human need. Skin hunger is a deep biological craving for physical touch and human contact. Without touch, you are having underactivity of the temporal lobes. These are the parts of your brain that are responsible for processing information, processing emotions, encoding and storing memory, and being able to utilize and understand language. But it's important that not all touch is the same. We want to focus on positive touch. Positive touch is consensual. It builds trust. It builds love. And it builds a connection between you and the other person. However, unfortunately, many people's first experience with touch is negative. Negative touch tends to be aggressive, punitive, painful, non-consensual. This really highlights how intention is everything when it comes to reaching out to another human being. Skin hunger can affect among almost everyone. Infants deprived of physical contact are more likely to develop attachment disorders, while children who grow up without meaningful touch often exhibit anxiety, depression, and behavioral issues. As for adults, touch starvation can manifest itself in a variety of ways, such as increased stress, mood swings, anxiety, depression, weakened immune response, as well as a difficulty maintaining relationships with others. Intentional touch heals the brain as well as the body. Physically, it could boost the production of oxytocin, lowers blood pressure, it alleviates pain and improves your heart. Mental and emotionally, it improves your mood, reduces stress, enhances sleep, it promotes brain development, and it gives you a sense of belonging. But there are several things that keep us out of touch, be it cultural norms or taboos, be it having social anxiety, experiencing separation due to hospital stays, due to prisons, due to being in a nursing home, or more recently, due to the fear of contagion. The data shows that adults ages 19 to 64 are most affected by touch starvation. Those who are experiencing this tend to have 35% more reported issues for mental health, such as chronic stress and depression. Adolescents aren't far behind at 25%, and children and seniors sit at 20% equally. This accounts for developmental delays as well as cognitive decline. So over here is a closer look at the touch-starved brain. This is a scan of a child's brain. The brain on the left is a healthy brain. You see how colorful and happy it is. On the right, though, is a child who has been neglected. As you can see, the areas that are not lit up, those are the temporal lobes. This is less activity. Children with skin hunger exhibit cognitive problems, decision-making issues, struggle with social interactions, and emotional regulation. A small case study here. Back in March of 2020, the United States decided to quarantine its citizens in response to COVID-19. At that time, depression rose from 8.5% to 27.8%, where 36% of Americans reported extreme loneliness. Scarily, calls to the suicide prevention hotline went up 300%. Those who were living alone reported feeling more stress. 80% of individuals being alone during quarantine. 80%. There was a 27% increase in anxiety and depression. But where does it start? We'll calm it down a second. When you're first born, that bonding moment, that skin-to-skin contact with your mother, it regulated your body's temperature. It created a bond with you and your mother, or you and your father. It reduced stress for everyone involved, and it decreased cortisol levels. It boosted your weight gain. You improved your immune system just by being held by those who loved you. But we cannot forget our adolescent children. Even though they tend to be more prickly about getting hugs and snuggles and cuddles, there's a reason for that. In adolescence, the need for touch is just as important. However, it moves from the family to more peer-to-peer contact. This is where they're discovering their boundaries and their consent. It improves self-esteem for them, as well as body issues. In the 1940s, Dr. René Spitz, who was an Austrian psychoanalyst, he studied infants in orphanages as well as in hospitals. He commonly noted how terrifying it was to go in an infant room and it was silent. What was the reason? While these babies were getting all their food and nutrients and getting fed, they were not being held. These children had higher mortality rates, and they suffered from analytic depression, which is hopelessness and abandonment. In the 1980s, Romanian orphanages were overcrowded. This is due to the banning of contraception. These children were not touched, held, cuddled, or even allowed to socialize with each other. And as such, they develop severe issues, both cognitively, emotionally, and physically. Adults have their own issues when it comes to touch starvation. We feature a lot more complexities in our social interactions on the daily. Whether it's because you're not allowed to touch people at work, or because we have an overtly sexual mindset in Western countries, so touching in any form is deemed inappropriate. And these are barriers that hinder us as adults with connecting with one another. I wanted to take a look at solitary confinement in prisons. And the lack of human touch leads to emotional detachment and social dysfunction. 54% of isolated prisoners develop extreme emotional responses, including rage and withdrawal. 40% of isolated individuals develop symptoms of mental illness, and they are 5 times more likely to commit suicide. Our elderly adults also need to have touch, but a lot of times due to mobility issues, being in a care facility, hospitalization, or death of partners or close friends, that touch becomes limited. And the effects of the touch starvation for these beautiful human beings is worse than regular adults who are 18 to 64, because they are already fighting with immune issues. So how do you fix it? Well, you increase your social interaction. You introduce gentle touch, introduce physical activity, reconnect with nature. But the important thing to remember is that touch should be given with consent and positive intention. This issue extends beyond physical health. Touch is the language of compassion, connection, and empathy. Without it, our relationships suffer. Our sense of trust diminishes, and we become emotionally isolated, even in a room full of people. What can we do to combat touch starvation in a world that's becoming more touch averse? The answer, it lies in holistic approaches. Ways we can introduce safe, consensual touch into our lives, from therapeutic touch like massage and cuddle therapy, to simply being more intentional with our physical interactions with each other. This is how we can start to rebuild those essential bonds. This is how we create trust amongst each other. It's about more than physical contact. It's about recognizing the deep emotional and physical importance for touch. Touch heals. It reduces cortisol levels, lowers heart rate. This is more than a call to action. This is a call to reconnect. Let's rediscover the power of touch, and in doing so, transform the way that we relate to each other in this increasingly disconnected world. Thank you.